Chapter 4. Maybe I'm worried, Deckard conjectured, that what happened to Dave will happen to me. And Andy, smart enough to laser him, could probably take me too. But that didn't seem to be it. I see you brought the poop sheet on that new brain unit, Inspector Bryant said, hanging up the vidphone. Rick said, Yeah, I heard about it on the grapevine. How many Andys are involved and how far did Dave get? 8 to start with, Bryant said, consulting his clipboard. Dave got the first 2. And the remaining 6 are here in North California. As far as we know. Dave thinks so. That was him I was talking to. I have his notes. They were in his desk. He says all he knows is here. Bryant tapped the bundle of notepaper. So far, he did not seem inclined to pass the notes on to Rick. For some reason, he continued to leaf through them himself, frowning and working his tongue in and around the fringes of his mouth. I have nothing on my agenda, Rick offered. I'm ready to take over in Dave's place. Bryant said thoughtfully. Dave used the Voight-Kampf altered scale in testing out the individuals he suspected. You realize, you ought to anyhow, that this test isn't specific for the new brain units. No test is. The Voight scale, altered 3 years ago by Kampf, is all we have. He paused, pondering. Dave considered it accurate, maybe it is, but I would suggest this. Before you take out after these 6, again he tapped the pile of notes. Fly to Seattle and talk with the Rosen people. Have them supply you a representative sampling of types employing the new Nexus 6 unit. And put them through the Voight-Kampf, Rick said. It sounds so easy, Bryant said, half to himself. Pardon? Bryant said, I think I'll talk to the Rosen organization myself while you're on your way. He eyed Rick then, silently. Finally he grunted, gnawed on a fingernail, and eventually decided on what he wanted to say. I'm going to discuss with them the possibility of including several humans as well as their new androids. But you won't know. It'll be my decision in conjunction with the manufacturers. It should be set up by the time you get there. He abruptly pointed at Rick, his face severe. This is the first time you'll be acting as senior bounty hunter. Dave knows a lot. He's got years of experience behind him. So have I, Rick said tensely. You've handled assignments devolving to you from Dave's schedule. He's always decided exactly which ones to turn over to you and which not to. But now you've got 6 that he intended to retire himself, one of which managed to get him first. This one. Bryant turned the notes around so that Rick could see. Max Polakov, Bryant said. That's what it calls itself anyhow. Assuming Dave was right, everything is based on that assumption, this entire list. And yet, the Voight-Kampf altered scale has only been administered to the first 3. The 2 Dave retired and then Polakov. It was while Dave was administering the test, that's when Polakov lasered him. Which proves that Dave was right, Rick said. Otherwise he would not have been lasered. Polakov would have no motive. You get started for Seattle, Bryant said. Don't tell them first. I'll handle it. Listen. He rose to his feet soberly, confronted Rick. When you run the Voight-Kampf scale up there, if one of the humans fails to pass it, That can't happen, Rick said. One day, a few weeks ago, I talked with Dave about exactly that. He had been thinking along the same lines. I had a memo from the Soviet police, WPO itself, circulated throughout Earth plus the colonies. A group of psychiatrists in Leningrad have approached WPO with the following proposition. They want the latest and most accurate personality profile analytical tools used in determining the presence of an android. In other words, the Voigt-Kampff scale applied to a carefully selected group of schizoid and schizophrenic human patients. Those specifically which reveal what's called a flattening of effect. You've heard of that? Rick said. That's specifically what the scale measures. Then you understand what they're worried about. This problem has always existed since we first encountered androids posing as humans. The consensus of police opinion is known to you in Lurie Kampff's article written 8 years ago. Role-taking blockage in the undeteriorated schizophrenic. Kampff compared the diminished empathic faculty found in human mental patients and a superficially similar but basically. The Leningrad psychiatrists, Bryant broke in brusquely, think that a small class of human beings could not pass the Voigt-Kampff scale. If you tested them in line with police work, you'd assess them as humanoid robots. You'd be wrong. But by then, they'd be dead. He was silent, now waiting for Rick's answer. But these individuals, Rick said, they'd be in institutions, Bryant agreed. They couldn't conceivably function in the outside world. They certainly couldn't go undetected as advanced psychotics, unless, of course, their breakdown had come recently and suddenly, and no one had gotten around to noticing. But this could happen. 1,000,000 to 1 odds, Rick said, but he saw the point. What worried Dave, Bryant continued, is this appearance of the new Nexus 6 advanced type. The Rosen organization assured us, as you know, that a Nexus 6 could be delineated by standard profile tests. We took their word for it. Now we're forced, as we knew we would be, to determine it on our own. That's what you'll be doing in Seattle. You understand, don't you, that this could go wrong either way. If you can't pick out all the humanoid robots, then we have no reliable analytical tool and we'll never find the ones who are already escaping. If your scale factors out a human subject, identifies him as android, Bryant beamed at him icily. It would be awkward. Although no one, absolutely not the Rosen people, will make the news public. Actually, we'll be able to sit on it indefinitely, although, of course, we'll have to inform WPO, and they, in turn, will notify Leningrad. Eventually, it'll pop out of the papes at us. But by then we may have developed a better scale. He picked the phone up. You want to get started? Use a department car and fuel yourself at our pumps. Standing, Rick said, Can I take Dave Holden's notes with me? I want to read them along the way. Bryant said, Let's wait until you've tried out your scale in Seattle. His tone was interestingly merciless, and Rick Deckard noted it.